So it seems like we're getting some pretty alarming news out of China that's going to affect the enthusiast end of handheld gaming and potentially might be indicative of a problem that we're going to see across the board with all of the devices in handheld gaming in general. This is coming out from Ayaneo, and in particular their Next device, which is currently in pre-order through Indiegogo, and it seems like they might not be able to sell it at all, because in a post they've just put out on their Indiegogo page for the Next 2, they have announced that due to the increase of cost of storage that they're going to suspend all pre-orders for this device entirely going forward. It's pretty alarming. We all know that the RAM prices and storage prices have been absolutely spiking across the board, and we've seen increases in prices from some of the more mainstream manufacturers in the consumer end devices, and I think we're likely to see even more as we go through 2026, but it seems like Ayaneo have really fallen foul of this, even with their more highly priced premium devices, the more kind of enthusiast end of the market. Bear in mind, the Next 2 could be upwards of $4,000 if you have the highest spec configuration, that even at those really high prices that they can't afford to sell it at the given price. It seems like the storage prices for their device has increased so much so that it costs them more than that high price tag to make the device than it would do to be able to sell it. So it's uneconomical for them to do it. In fact, they'd be losing money to do it. They put out a whole press release about it. I'll go through that in detail with you because it kind of lays out the groundwork. And I think this gives us a kind of a clearer indication of where the market is headed for handhelds in general as we go through 2026, and gaming in general as well. I think this is going to impact everyone. I look at the Steam Machine in particular and worry for that as it launches this year. But staying in Ayaneo land, the Next 2, they've said that after the Chinese New Year, when we communicated with the suppliers about the storage prices, we found that storage prices had increased several times higher than before the holiday. Under such circumstances, the overall cost of the product has become far higher than our current selling price. Therefore, after careful consideration, we've decided to suspend all pre-orders for the Next 2. In fact, even before the launch of the Next 2, storage prices had already been rising for several months, and at that time we believed that the price might have approached its peak. Even if it meant making little to no profit or even a very slight loss, we still decided to move forward with the product launch. However, what we did not expect was that storage prices would continue to rise, but would increase the price even more rapidly. At present, the total cost of the product has far exceeded our selling price, even approaching twice the price we originally set. Under such circumstances, we cannot continue selling the product at this unsustainable level. Therefore, we've removed the product from all sales channels, and consumers are no longer able to purchase the Next 2 on Indiegogo. For backers who have already pre-ordered the Next 2, please rest assured that we'll continue to move forward with production as planned. So firstly, it's good to know if you have pre-ordered this device that you will be able to get your order when they do finally move to manufacturing it. So anyone who already has their pre-orders in aren't going to lose anything. But what's really alarming there is to hear that the storage prices had increased so much that the production cost was twice the price of retail. And bear in mind, as I said at the start, these devices could be upwards of $4,000 at retail. Now, of course, a lot of you might be saying, well, Ayaneo Next 2, I was never going to buy it anyway. It's a very niche part of the market. There's only a very few people that's going to buy this, so it probably won't affect me. And maybe you're right. Maybe this won't affect us all because, let's be honest, with their such small customer base, their cost of production is obviously per unit going to be a lot higher. They can't buy in bulk like brands like Nintendo or even Asus and Lenovo can. But I think this is indicative of the bigger problem that we're seeing across the board and that impact that's going to have to all of our devices into 2026. We've already seen some price increases with the likes of Lenovo. I think we're likely to see price increases across the board from those that haven't yet, and maybe even more so from those that already have stepped in with a price increase. I think we're likely to see it keep going up, and you can thank all the AI overlords for that and their AI slop. Yes, DLSS5, I'm looking at you. But that's where we're at with this. I think the price for everything is going to keep going up. And I think when we look at this kind of niche end of the market, this really enthusiast part of the market, I'm wondering if there's a place for it at all. Will this end of the market exist as we move through to the end of the year? Yes, people are willing to spend multiple thousands of dollars and pounds on these devices, but as Ayaneo said here, if it costs twice as much to produce it than they can sell it for, will they even exist at all? The kind of impact on that for us enthusiasts is that these devices aren't necessarily what everyone's going to buy, but they show us what's possible. They're almost like a proof of concept for the rest of the market, and the technology that we see in those really expensive enthusiast devices does tend to trickle down to all of the more consumer devices that we tend to cover and we all know and love. So without them, do we stop seeing so much development because the cost of everything bogs it all down and there's no proof of concept part of the market anymore? It's kind of worrying. I don't know where this goes, but I needed to jump in and talk about it really quickly because it's a huge bit of breaking news in the handheld space and alarming. I wonder how it's going to affect the other kind of niche end of the market for those other devices that are out there. I think about the One X players and stuff. Are they going to be affected by this as well? I don't know. Are we going to see price rises for the consumer devices? I would imagine so, even more so than we already have. Because this isn't going away quick, is it? Let's be honest. I want to know if you did place a pre-order for the Next 2, if you were one of the Indiegogo supporters and you're hoping to get it soon. If you already placed your order, I would love to know what you guys think about this down in the comments. Does it affect your confidence in the purchase going forward? Will there be a lack of support for it? Who knows? If you were sat on the fence and you were kind of one of those kind of rich boys that was tempted to but hadn't yet, is this a disappointing bit of news? Or could you not care less? Let me know about that as well in the comments down below. Well, I'll see you down there. Make sure you like this video, subscribe to the channel for more handheld gaming content. We'll see you tomorrow for a really exciting video. And of course, I'll see you in the next one.